Studio. Carl Sykes is a 1982 graduate of Litchfield High School, and Steven Sykes, well, he's a state champion. He just won the state title a couple of weeks ago in the high jump as just a sophomore. Guys, I can't thank you enough for coming in.
Oh, thanks for having us.
Carl, let's start with you. You're the dad in this group here.
Yes, sir.
And you're a Litchfield graduate from 1982, and obviously you ran track and that kind of thing. Tell me a little bit about your track career.
My track career pretty much started as following the footsteps of older brothers.
Mm-hmm.
So that's been a long family tradition of track. I hurdled and I high jumped, did whatever Coach asked.
Who was your coach back then?
Dennis Brenner was coaching.
Oh, okay. And along the way, as you run track, you set the Litchfield High School high jump record.
Yes.
You obviously you have to remember that pretty clearly, right?
That was a very vivid day.
So tell me about it.
It had its highs and its lows. It happened at Battle Creek Central at an invitational area best meet, and everything just came together that day, and we just kept right on going. The downside of it was that was 3 days after the state meet, and that would have won the state meet that year. What? Oh well.
So you had a meet after the state meet.
Yes.
You had another one.
Yes.
And at that meet, you not only set the school record, but you did a time or a height that would have won the state.
Yes.
So do you remember what the old record was, and then what did you jump?
The old record was 6'7" and a quarter, set by my older brother Gary, and I only broke it by a quarter of an inch, which made him a little unhappy, but he got over it.
So the Sykes brothers are serious about high jumping.
Yeah.
Okay, because, I mean, you now have the record. Your brother you beat by just a quarter of an inch, and now we'll talk about your son here in just a second. So you've had that record since 1982. Now, I used to help out with track quite a bit down at Camden where I work, and the records, a lot of them turn over quite often. You'll see records fall every year. So you've got a record here that has stood for darn near 30 years now.
Right.
That's quite an accomplishment.
Yes.
And here along comes this kid, this Sykes boy, your son. When did your son take an interest in kind of following the family tradition?
Oh, very early. We have other relatives that have been very active in the track, so we were taking him to watch his cousins run in Jonesville since he was old enough to walk. So he's always known what track is. Now,
Stephen, let me get you've got to be what, 6'4", 6'5"?
About 6'6".
So he's 6'6", a little taller than Dad, and obviously he was high jumping in middle school.
Yes.
Kind of learning the technique. Did you coach him at that point, or did he have a position coach that was teaching him the fundamentals? How did that go?
I was coaching him. I was also helping with the high school track team and junior high track team at that time.
So you kind of taught him the basics.
Yes.
During that time. All right, let's go to Stephen. Stephen, in middle school, you're starting to jump and that kind of thing. Did you know at that time how big track and field was to your family?
Yeah, I knew pretty well that my dad and my uncles had been really good when they were in high school, so I was just trying to keep it going.
Yeah, I should say. Now, did they talk about it all the time? They sit around the campfire and tell old war stories of when they won all of their awards and medals and that kind of thing?
No, they didn't. They're not very talkative about that kind of stuff. If you wanted to hear about it, they kind of had to pry it out of them a little bit. But
well, that kind of surprises me, Carl. I mean, a lot of dads, I think, if they had a record like that, they'd want to talk about it all the time, but not so much in your case?
No, because anything I can talk about, the older brothers have college credentials to beat.
I gotcha. So in middle school, were you having some success, Stephen?
In 7th grade, I wasn't the best, and I wasn't sure if I was gonna actually like it or if I was gonna actually be good. But in 8th grade, I got to where I won every meet that I was at, and other than that, I had success in 8th grade, but not 7th grade.
So 7th grade, kind of shaky. You decided to try it again your 8th grade year, and then it started to come together. And sometime during that 8th grade year, you realized, hey, I might be pretty decent at this. Were you doing any other events besides the high jump?
I ran hurdles still, and we had a really good mile relay team, so I was on that.
Your freshman year, just a freshman, you take your way through your season, and you qualified for the high jump at the state level as a freshman, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so what do you remember most about freshman year?
Freshman year was kind of like 7th grade. I did good on most of the meets, but then once I got to state, it kind of made me feel, I guess, humbled, because I watched a kid jump 6'10" and a half and set the state record. So
wow. Yeah, that would humble you, and that's pretty good. We're talking to Carl and Stephen Sykes. Carl Sykes is a Litchfield graduate from 1982 who still has the high jump record at Litchfield High School, and his son Stephen just won the state title in the high jump as just a sophomore, but he came just short of his dad's record, and we'll talk about that in a couple of minutes. Okay, let's fast forward to your sophomore year, this year that just finished up. Were you just winning every meet that you went to this year?
I won most every meet, but Hillsdale Academy has a jumper, and our dual meet, we jumped the same height, but he had less misses. So I got second in that meet, and I think league meet he beat me too.
So what goes into this? What goes into a successful high jump round? Just pure concentration, a lot of practice. What are you trying to do? Obviously, you've got to jump over the bar without knocking it over and that kind of thing. But what goes through your head as you go into a competition?
Well, most people have to stay focused on what they're doing, but for some reason, if I stay focused, it messes me up and my head just goes all crazy. So I just have to basically think, run and jump. I just try and keep my mind clear so I don't think about it too much.
As far as the technique and that kind of thing goes, do you still follow the example that your father taught you in middle school? Have your high school coaches kind of switched it up a little bit? And talk about the technique side of it.
My technique, over the bar, hasn't really changed. I don't have any other coaches really besides for my dad. The head coach, he knows my dad knows what he's doing, so he kind of doesn't try to interfere, I guess.
Smart guy.
And the only thing I've changed since middle school is my approach. I made it a little tighter, so it makes the last step shorter, and it gives more, it's less travel over the bar, less time on top of the bar for you to hit it.
Carl, are you pretty pleased as you look back at his sophomore year with how he's coming from a technical standpoint? I mean, I'm sure that he's got raw talent where he could be really good that way, but to really win a state championship, you also have to have some technique, right?
Yeah, I was very pleased with the progress that he made throughout the season. He does have a little bit different technique than a lot of the other jumpers that we watch, so it's hard to compare that way. And we look at some of the other jumpers and going, he's going to beat you if he figures out what he's doing. So on that note, we're a step ahead of a lot of the other jumpers.
Absolutely. You go through the year, obviously you had tremendous success, good battle. Who was the young man from the academy?
Peter Sullivan.
So you and Peter were kind of going back and forth and that kind of thing. Okay, let's go to the state meet. Where was it held this year?
Jennison.
So you're up at Jennison schools and that kind of thing, and you go up there, and you were sharing with me out in the lobby, Stephen, that going to the state meet this year, you had no expectations that you were going to win. What were you thinking as you went into that meet?
I was just looking to do as good as I could, and I was hoping for top 5 maybe.
So as a freshman year, you didn't place at the state level.
No.
This year as a sophomore, you thought, well, it'd be nice to place, maybe get a medal and that kind of thing and show some progress. Was that your expectation too, Carl?
From coaching expectations, you look at the seating charts that the coaches have, and you look at that, and I'm thinking anywhere from 4th, and if he does his top, he can win it. Didn't share that with him.
So you thought going in there was a chance?
Yes.
So the meet begins. Is the state competition held like the others that you had done as far as the competition goes, or is it